already the research scholars or they are into the thesis completion stage? Uh, is it okay? Am I correct? You can please answer. You can unmute yourself and answer, because this has to be an interactive session.
Yeah,
So you people are your, in the final stage of your this thing thesis. So yes, I'm going to present the slide. Let's speak out what we should do. Or just a moment, I'm just sharing the slide screen. Then I will speak. Just a moment. So today I'll speak about mastering the art of thesis writing, because see, this is a very important phase of your research, a research which started 3 years before, and now it is at the stage when you have to compile all the things which you have done in the area in this vicinity of 3 years in the form of a book or in the form of a compendium, right? So this is very important part. And again, a lot of time is still required to write a good thesis, because at the end of the day, because thesis has to be evaluated. Now in our university, the thesis goes to two examiners, like one is foreign, another is outside state. We don't get it evaluated within the state. So accordingly, and then that person has to be a professor. So that's why, you know most of the effort, if say you find very condition, my condition of two research papers is over, and now I am you know going to start with the thesis work. It's okay, thesis work is okay, but then it will again take another 6 months to compile. So there are certain sections in the thesis which we need to work upon, which we need to stress upon, right? So I'll be talking, delving into details slowly and simultaneously. Wherever is the problem, just let me know, and wherever you want certain more clarifications, you can ask me in between or at the end of the session, whenever it's there, right? So in this presentation, what we will do is we will explore the strategies for mastering the art of thesis writing, and we will understand the components of a successful thesis, which can significantly improve your academic performance, and more important is research impact. And third is, because when you have written your thesis, a quality thesis, then ultimately you will be guiding your scholar also to come out with that quality of the thesis, right? So let's start with this journey. The first topic is, first is, whenever you write a thesis, the very initial stage is choosing a good topic, right? Whenever you start your research, whenever you start the journey of your research, the topic or the title is very, very important, because it has to be relevant. Now up at this stage, when we are in 2024, uh, if somebody says that I want to do research on COVID-19, because that phase was there and that phase is gone, right? So nowadays that topic is not valid. Yes, working on the disaster management still would, you can take an example of COVID and then you can work, right? So the compelling topic is that the topic which should stay for long, right? I started my PhD in 2012, and then I started with online shopping, because now online shopping is still there. But when I started that time, virtual try on technology, chatbot, robotics, that was not there. And now online shopping is still there, it's still penetrated, but again with the latest technologies, that means I can build upon my topic, build upon my area of research, right? So your area of research should be such that you need to build upon, right? If you are doing this research today, let's say after 10 years, it should have the same rigor, it should have the same charm, and you still should feel like working in this stream. Now take the example of online learning, right? Online learning is there, online learning, it was there before COVID, but it picked up after COVID, and now also again there are different tools, and now even the national education policy has also come out with this online learning wala stage, and then they are giving more efforts. So now the person who has done any research on online learning, that time now he or she can continue working on this online learning, right? He or she can continue by adding certain variables, by adding certain constructs, by adding various problems which these students encounter. The problems which students encounter during 3 years before, they're not the same which they are encountering right now. So again, this research is still evolving field, and it will go on. So likewise, you have to select the topic or your research question in such a way that it should be evolving, it should be moving. So steps to choose a right topic: first of all, identify your area of interest. If your guide is saying, okay, you have to work on this, but then try to come to a midway approach where your area and the area of your guide also matches, right? You read a lot, and then narrow down the field, decide the significance, and then go for the topic endorsement or topic entitlement, which is very, very, very important. So how to choose a good research topic is, first of all, we review a literature and discuss with experts. Uh, I'll give you a live example of one of my student. Okay, I'll give you a live example of one of my student, right? So one of my students, he came to me, still doing research with me. She came to me and she said, I want to do research on this neuromarketing. Neuromarketing is, again, it's a very evolving field, right? And I said, okay, let's pick up something different, right? So we started, okay, let's go for the neurotourism. Neurotourism is, when the customers, enter the hotel, and then they are given they are monitoring the eye movement and all that ECG, then they check whether they are satisfied or not, right? So we started working on neurotourism. We worked for another 2 and 2.5 months. Then we took the interviews, and then someone, when we took the interviews, okay, already literature was there. Lot of literature was there. There lot of bibliometric SLR flooded, right? But when we spoke to the people, we went to hotels. They said, "Ki we're not using it. Neurotourism is at a very initial stage over here, and we're not using it." So ultimately we have to left the topic in the way, because there is no scenario of data collection. Experimental study we can do, but again, when you think of yourself, when you go to hotel and somebody says, okay, I want to hotel, why we go, because that is very private place, right? We look for privacy, right? And if somebody is doing your ECG or tracking your eyes or something like that, move eyeball ka movement somebody is tracking, so that will look futile. So in between we had to remove that topic, and we have to move in some other direction. Now she is doing research on homestays, that is very much prevalent in India, and again, she's getting good insights into it, right? So always select a topic which has certain things to go for. Then again, this was what I was saying: consider the potential to contribute to the field and to the society. Means whether your this research will contribute to the field. Propose a novel approach, and you just see the research gaps and identify the gap. That is what is missing. Now, how you identify the gap? Anybody who would like to answer? How would you identify the gap? What are the ways to identify the gap?
Literature review.
Literature review, yes. Literature review means the last section, that is the conclusion section or limitations. That is where the gap actually comes. And another thing which I want to lay stress is the special issues. Look for the special issues. uh, I was just searching for something regarding the cyber security. So this thing came out. I went to a journal. This is a information system frontiers journal, right? Here we have call for papers, right? See, this is call for papers. Is this screen visible? No, visible to everyone?
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Yes, है ना? So call for papers where you go to digital adoption, cyber risk, and value destruction in organizations. So this is again a involved good topic. So when you dive in between, go when you go further, you'll find certain areas like comparative analysis of cybersecurity practices, effectiveness of quantification. That means when you are doing the quantification of cyber risk, that means you are doing certain quantitative study, you're doing a survey. Likewise, you can develop a model, cyber risk awareness and mitigation measures across geographical and institutional context. So here geographical means North India or South India, and institutional within the university context. So this would be a good, potential topic. This is how we search for the topics, right? Like generative modeling, etc., remote working, or what are the various organizational cyber risks in the service sector. Like, see this one, right? Cyber security in healthcare service. This could be another very good thesis. So these are the special issues. You look a journal of your choice, and then you can submit over here, right? Shall I proceed? It's clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So after this topic, then you go for the conducting a thorough research, and then you look for different databases, libraries to gather the relevant information, and this information then you have to write, and that writing that information is very, very, very important, right? So let me assume at this point you have the topic with you, you have written all the information, you have conducted all the research. Now you have to assemble it, right? And for assembling or for structuring your thesis, these are the 5 parts which are the focus of this workshop today or this FDP today. First is your preliminary pages, very important. Introduction, literature review, methodology, results, discussion and conclusion, and annexes, right? So each section should flow seamlessly into the next, right? So we'll start one by one. First is the preliminary pages. Now, what are the preliminary pages? They are preliminary pages. First of all, they include your title page. Title page is as per the format given to you by your university. Then there is a declaration by the research scholar. Again, it is as per the format. Certificate by the supervisors. Again, these are the specific formats which are being provided by the university, and as such you don't have to do that much for these, because these are already there, right? Then abstract, or acknowledgement and dedication wherever included, and this is again, acknowledgement. You need to acknowledge even a single person who has been a part of your thesis all the way. Then abstract for the thesis is just 1 to 2 pages summary of your thesis. And uh, what in our university we have put a limit of 500 to 1000 words on the abstract, and we go with this format, emerald format, right? Emerald publisher is there, because we start with the purpose of this research. We have given the specific format, purpose of the research, then methodology used, findings and originality and implications. In these 5 headings, the students have to just summarize their thesis in 500 words, and that is very easy, right? Then important is your table of contents which you write, list of tables, figures, acronyms, chapters, bodies, etc. There are certain specific formatting guidelines, like
Excuse me,
first
ma'am.
of all, yes.
Can you just present it in full screen mode, ma'am?
It's not full screen. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Is it full
Yes.
screen now?
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
So just a moment. All the reports, they should have a common specific format. DCS, what I mean is doctoral concentration seminar in our university, then research proposal. They all should have the same thing. University logo should be placed, page numbering and referencing style. Let's say I just mentioned just now, abstract and acknowledgement must not exceed over 500 words, 2 pages with 2 line spacing. Initial pages, they are always in Roman. and uh, uh, like this 1 2 3 4, and then Arabic numbers is given to the pages from where your introduction chapter starts. I'll be sharing one thesis also, like format of the thesis, but first you just understand what are the simple formatting guidelines. Then uh, total number of pages must be 130 pages and maximum 300 pages, but these exclude preliminary 10 15 pages, references and annexure pages, right? So there are certain declarations which need to be signed. Important is when you make your thesis, what you do is, let's say your guide is dean, or let's say he is your vice chancellor, or he is director. So never ever put the other designation or administrative designation. Always put the academic designation, and academic designations are professors, associate professor and assistant professor. This needs to be taken care of. And again, the thesis, 12 times new roman, and the tables 10 times new roman. At times the table is very large, so then you can even because nowadays imaging is not allowed. So what you can do is, you can just put it in the form of a landscape, make that page landscape, and then you can proceed. I can show you if possible. Let's see. Escape also. Just a moment. I need to open some new document. Let's say I open here some new document, right? Document. Now let's say I'm typing some content here. Okay. Now let's say in next page, I want a big figure. So what I can do is, I can go to layout, then I'll go to page setup. Page setup mein I'll pick landscape. I'll say normal. Then in whole document, I say this point forward. Okay. See. This is landscape, right? Now, if I again put this text over here, and now again I want to come back to the this what we call as portrait. Again go there, page setup. I'll pick portrait from here, and then I'll say this point forward. So got it? So this is how, if the text, or at that time we make very big huge figures. So we just convert one page into landscape, and then other simultaneously other pages are portrait. So declaration that needs to be signed, designation of super, this already I have given. So this is the chapter schema for the final thesis. This is very important, right? This is what you should lay stress to, because these are very important parts, right? In case you want to have the pick of these items, you can always have the pics also, and then ma'am will be sharing the PPT also, I suppose, right? So introduction, that covers 20% of the total word count, right? So total word count is your 40,000. I'm talking in context to a university. You can follow your university guidelines also, but the more or less it remains the same, right? So first is in introduction, you need to give the overview, right? Overview of the topic or overview of the title which you have selected for your this thing, for your thesis. Then comes your conceptualization, operationalization. Now, conceptualization and operationalization means you are discussing different concepts which are there, and then you go for operationalization of those concepts. Operationalization is, there are definitions which you have modified in context to your own this research. Let's say, I hope most of you must have heard about the technology adoption models, like where ease of use and usefulness, they are the major independent variables. Let's say any technology which is easy to use, that you are working on, let's say, telehealth or telemedicine. So what you can do is, you can say it is easy to use my telehealth. Ease of use in context to this study says that how easy it is the telehealth instrument to use, right? So operationalization is as per the your research or as per your topic. You suppose, let's say, there is customer satisfaction. Normal customer satisfaction is how satisfied the customers are. But if you are working on the financial services, or let's say you're working on the fintech, you'll say, okay, how satisfied the customers are with respect to fintech technologies, right? So that means it is, you are operationalizing, you are taking a standard definition and making it in context to your own research, right? So emphasis has to be taken care of. Need for the study, what is the need? Problem statement, research gap, research questions, objectives, and proposed conceptual framework, they all are a part of your chapter 1. Now we'll see operational definition again. I've already explained. These include constructing the variables into overall factor or construct, right? The same way, what I'm saying in a little research wala language, which we call as, means modifying the constructs, modifying the variables which are available as per your own study, right? If you want to see, I can show you one. Let me finish this slide and then I'll show you how operationalization is being done, right? Then need of the study means it says the what is the importance of your research work, how your study will impact the field of research, and your research gap will give an idea on what outcomes you should work upon. Need of the study may very commonly use statements are, this research will provide new insights into, through this research the community will further promote the use of this. People and medical institutions may also consider lemongrass tea as an alternate supplement. These are just the examples, right? Need of, what is the need of the study, why this study, these are the certain examples which you can always quote, right? Problem statement, it is very important. Problem statement, and problem statement comes from the need, right? Need leads to the problem, problem leads to the research questions, questions lead to the objective, objective leads to the hypothesis, and finally the things are complete, right? So problem statement, it is the crust of your research which explains why this research is conducted and how this research is unique, right? So it should have certain 2 to 3 paragraphs, and a statement is always a 2 to 3 lines. I've seen the thesis, or I've seen the people, in fact my students make a big huge problem statements which is of no use, right? So the, let's say, just the read the highlighted portion. The current project proposes to examine the factors that have an impact on small business sustainability. So we'll employ both qualitative and quantitative approaches to gather the primary and secondary data and information. So this is a very clear and crisp problem statement. Now, uh, again, I'll go back here. So after the problem statement comes your research gap. Research gap, in case, it depends. In case you want to give the research gap in chapter 2, you can give in chapter 2 also, right? Because Research gap, if you are coming from the literature review, you give in chapter 2. Otherwise, small paragraph for research questions and objectives you can give over here also, right? So research questions, objectives, and what is the difference? Can anybody tell me what is the difference between the theoretical and conceptual framework? Yes. Yes. Can anyone tell me what is the difference between the theoretical and conceptual framework? Why we use theoretical and why we use conceptual framework? And where we use theoretical and where we use conceptual framework? Or shall I explain? Okay. So, Shalu, the thing is, there's a difference between theoretical and conceptual framework. I give a very simple example to my students. Let's say, there's a simple recipe of soup, right? You want to copy the recipe of soup, and your mother prepares a very good soup, right? So she has got certain ingredients in specific quantity, like put vegetables or put some specific black pepper or salt or whatever it is, you know? So let's say if you have a certain recipe and you pick up that recipe as such, right? So that is your theoretical framework, because you are picking the work of somebody else. You are using the work of somebody else. Like, Shalu, may I know what is your area of research? What is your area of research? Finance. Okay. So let's say you pick up some theory in behavioral finance, right? Or adoption of your fintech technologies, where you use you taught, or let's say TAM model, right? You pick up as such whatever are the constructs, you pick up as such, and you validate those constructs in your own study, right? So this is your conceptual framework, but what you do is you picked up those constructs and added some certain risks in that, added certain cultural factors in that, related to let's say North India, South India, Eastern India, Western India, right? So that means you have picked up the work of somebody and modified it as per your research. Then that becomes your conceptual theory, right? Theoretical, picking the theory and using it as such. uh, Conceptual, modifying a framework with respect to your research. Either you are deepening the variables, or you are adding few more variables. So that would be your conceptual framework, right? Is that clear? Got it? Yeah. So let's go back. So these are things which we generally consider in our introduction chapter. Second chapter is theoretical background and literature review, right? So theoretical background means you go for theoretical underpinnings, where you write the support theories for your study, and you write the literature review and hypothesis development. Here also you can show the research gap, right? uh, it's your choice. Either you want to show the research gap in your this initial introduction, or in your theoretical background, right? So now, ideally, the trend is to blend two theories or two to three theories with respect to your research when it comes to the management part. But when it comes to the this social sciences, sorry, sciences, or when it comes to physics, chemistry, as such, there is no theory there, right? They do the experimental research, but then again the you know this formatting or schema remains the same, right? Maybe hypothesis development and theoretical linkages are not there in the research of the science students, but yes, it's very much there in with when we go for the management, social sciences, pharmacy, sorry, not pharmacy, psychology, even in medical, public health uh, type of studies, it's very much there, right? So it should have 25% of the total word count. Let's say 40,000 words ka 25% you can put over here. A very important part is your methodology. Why? Because see, when the evaluation of your thesis is done, what my experience is, maximum questioning comes from the methodology. There are very few questions from the introduction, very few questions from the even that your theoretical background, even your analysis also. Maybe the examiner may ask even one or two questions, but not more than that. But yes, as far as the methodology is concerned, maximum questions come from the maximum questions they come from the methodology part, right? So first, always try to give a chapter overview, right? You need to give the scope of the study, then research design, whether it is your exploratory or descriptive or causal or correlational, whatever. Instrument design, that has to be dealt in detail, right? Pilot study has to be dealt in detail, and then you write the pre-testing also. The common mistakes which we do in pilot study or pre-testing is we get it validated from the experts, right? But again, recently one of my students, he got an objection that it has to be anonymized, right? So you need to anonymize the uh, uh, this thing, the name of the experts, right? You need to anonymize the name of the experts. And before we go, even we go for the pre-testing before, right? So can you tell me what is the difference between the pre-testing and pilot testing? Anybody can speak out. What is the difference between the pre-testing of the questionnaire and pilot testing, and what we check in that? Okay. So, if somebody wants to, he or she can speak. Otherwise, put in the chat box. I will explain. So, shall I explain what is the difference between the pre-testing and pilot testing? Okay. See, pre-testing is, let's say you prepare a initial questionnaire, right? By taking certain items, you modified it as per the study. You went to the subject experts or you went to the industry experts. Let's say you are doing a research on electrical vehicles, right? So uh, pilot study we do a total research small samples, that is true, to avoid the errors, that is also true. But what is pre-testing then? Please, let me explain a bit, because here is what maximum questions come. Pilot study, you are 101% correct that it's very, it's a rehearsal, right? Whenever some event is there, we do a rehearsal, right? So in the same way, the whenever some big study is going to be taken, we do a small sample study so that everything goes right. So pre-testing is a part where you go to different experts and you ask their opinions and then you get the questionnaire validated. That pre-testing is for your face and content validity. Face validity means, like, let's say you are doing a research on, let's say, fintech, like Shalu was written. If fintech mein agar you are doing a research and the constructs are customer satisfaction, but on the face we just have a look, then let's say it is having the questions of customer satisfaction or not. Let's assume that it's not having the questions on some XYZ construct, let's say your customer loyalty, right? So pre-testing is for 10 to 12 people. You go to fintech experts, you go to academicians and see whether I am covering what I'm supposed to cover. Face and content validity covers, right? And then if the questionnaire is okay, then you go to the start, or then you go for the pilot study. A pilot study again is a short study, and it is 10% of the entire sample. Let's say if your sample is 435, then the pilot study sample should be 44, right? And then you check for Cronbach alpha, or you check for the reliability in your pilot study, and even few items get deleted, or even few items get added also after this pilot study. But please remember, at the time of your viva, never ever say that we included the sample of pilot study in our actual sample, right? Because then it's going to create a lot of bias, right? So never include the sample of pilot study in your actual data set. And it's very important, right? So this is the difference between pre-testing. Pre-testing means from the experts, pilot testing from the sample and for the reliability, and pre-testing is for your face and content validity, right? These things you have to taken care of, and you have to see whether you have added certain items, you have deleted certain items, all the things you have to write in your final this thing. Let me go back now. Yes, instrument design, whether what interviews were conducted, and if you have the pics, you can uh, keep those pics at the end in the form of annexures. Sampling is very important. Maximum question sample, pilot study, and are being, they are very critically analyzed or reviewed by the your examiners. Then you perform the initial data quality checks. Initial data quality checks means you check whether there are missing values or not. You check whether there is non-response bias or not. Non-response bias is, let's say, you mostly it is in a survey form. Let's say you are conducting a survey, and you are again in that survey. Let's say this is a group of around 25 people, right? I need 250 answers. So these 25 people, they immediately filled up the form. Another set of 25 people again filled up the form. So let's say in the first round I got 150 respondents, but what happened afterwards? They stopped. I had to approach people 2, 3 times. I have to say, please fill up the form, fill up the form. And without reading, they filled up the form. So those were the late respondents. So we compare early and late respondent and see whether their values are same or not. If there is a difference in the means, that means some bias is there. This is what we have already covered. Yes, theoretical background, minimum 30 to 40 relevant studies. Now the literature review has to be argumentative, like the, let's say, this sustainable development, just see 2, 3 studies you are combining in one line. So that is the, don't put the paragraphs now, because that paragraph part is gone. They are very obsolete now. Itne bade bade paragraphs we don't put on the thesis. We just make it argumentative, and this comes with when you write the papers, when you present the papers, right? Then next is your result and data interpretation. In fact, I should say it is not that very important part, because this is a software generated output and it's always correct until and unless some serious flaw is there, right? So in case some serious flaw is not there, then that is quite okay. So not much stress is given to result and data interpretation. Maximum stress to data examiner, that is on the year chapter 3. Chapter 3 has, and maximum questioning is also from the chapter 3. Then objectivized analysis. In our university, we prefer objectivized analysis, but what happens is, as far as the science students are concerned, or science may, they make is chapter, the whole entire chapter is made objectivized. So it again depends what type of research you are doing. Next important is, yes, again, third, then fifth. What is your discussion? Discussion means when you are relating your thesis with the previous studies, with the previous findings, right? there must be certain findings which are supporting your results, and there must be certain findings which are against. So then you build up that discussion, which is again very important. Then discussion maximum, and always try to write objective wise discussion. Let's say you have three objectives, so discussion related to objective one, objective two, objective three. In this way you have to move forward. Implications, right? Again very important part, that you're see people always say ki it's very tough to write the implications. It's very easy. What you can do is, the way to write an implication is just to keep your questionnaire ready with you, right? You should have your questionnaire with you. Theoretical, uh, this thing is, what are the implications for the researchers, for the academicians, and how this has built a theory. So these are three things on which you have to focus, right? So implications, may what you can say is, in theoretical implication, you can say this research is very important as it has extended that theory to fintech, let's say, right? You took one theory and it has extended the theory to fintech domain. It has extended the theory to XYZ domain, right? Then few relationships were important which were tested in this research for the first time. So that means it has deepened the uh, theories, and it has given enough implications for the researchers to move, or uh, uh, to move ahead, or to revalidate the things. And similarly, practical and managerial implications, they are for the your these examiners, they are for the, sorry, they are for the practitioners who are already into the field, like fintech. What are the fintech managers, they need to learn from your this thing. And important is society, where you link your, see, this is again my suggestion, maybe in I don't know about your universities, but in our university, we try to link maximum research with SDGs. Right? We try to link our research with SDGs. 17 SDGs. You can pick any SDG, and you can try to link your research with that. SDG 3, 4, any SDG, right? So this will in fact improve your practical and managerial as well as societal implication. Means whether your society, how society is being benefited from your research. And then important is limitation, future scope. So citations, questionnaire, you have to appendix where you have to write the questionnaires, you have to write the long tables and figures which are not there. And actually one plagiarism reports, which we don't write, we do put in at the end of the thesis, but again it varies from the university to university, letter, permission, etc. But yes, list of publications is also there. So writing, and it is a evolving process. Don't hesitate to seek the feedback from your peers and mentors. Revising your work is crucial. I think I should show you some thesis so that the clarity comes. Any question till date? Meanwhile, let me open one thesis. So this is the title page. Okay, this is the introduction. about e-learning. This is how it was built: technology-based definitions of e-learning, history of e-learning. Then these are the inventions. This is all the part. Key players, adoption, then HEIs in India. See, that time when we were in the mid, then again NEP also came. So we have given the NEP ka reference over here, and we always, as I said, we always try to link our thesis with the Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) also. So this is goal 4: quality education and industry innovation by integrating technology into HEIs, and we just built up a story like this. Then this is because the candidate was at the time of COVID. This registration number 20 means COVID ke time pe tha, so we had to mention certain things in the related to COVID also. This is extra UGC ki guidelines for higher education, advantages, need for the study. As I said, what is the need for the study? Then these are the research gaps which we found, and problem statement. These are the this is operationalization. See, I see e-learning is there, right? E-learning in higher education in institution in India refers to the use of this thing. This first line यहाँ तक जो है. I hope this document is visible to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
So till this line is your this thing, e-learning ka conceptual, and what are the learners, who are the learners in this study, who are the educators. So what we just restricted, these are the learners, these are the educator and higher education institutions in context to our study, and we took UTOT in this plus VETA we took, and these are the risks also which we study. So they are all the operational definitions. These are the research questions, and from see research question, what are the different drivers that facilitate educators and learners e-learning adoption? Or ऊपर we have defined everything. See, educators, e-learning, learners, educators, and HEIs, right? We have defined everything. So likewise, the objective is to examine the drivers of e-learning adoption among educators and learners. Means this study has got double analysis, right? Then this is the chapter 1. This is a theoretical background. I always ask my students to go for the this systematic literature review. This is the Prisma framework, and from these are the articles. So this is done with another let's say Scopus database, where we come out with the articles, and this is the output which is generated by the Scopus only, right? Then models and theories in technology adoption. These are the various models, and this is UTOT. And similarly, we came out with our literature review. Literature review also, we divided literature review under 5 subheads: studies related to UTOT, to studies like gamification, risk, values, and digital technologies, right? So this is how the studies were added, and on the basis of these studies, see subheadings hai. Study gamified e-learning, right? These are all the studies. And then after these studies were added, we went to hypothesis development, right? So hypothesis development may also we give the grasp, and we say what are the different hypotheses which are being developed. And after hypothesis, this was the model which came out and which we tested in this research. See, this is UTOT till habit, performance expectancy, effort, facilitating, social influence, hedonic. These are the constructs of UTOT. We added a new construct, gamification. Then we added VETA. VETA means VETA is value enhanced technology adoption, which covering security, conformity, achievement, and power. And then these are the various risks associated with e-learning and behavior intention that leads to actual use, right? and this is the moderating variable, digital technologies. So this is the research methodology, objectives, research design, right? Types of research, sampling technique, sample units, everything is mentioned. Scope is mentioned, instrument and scales. See, these are scales. Then scale development. Again, these are the scale development means this how we do pre-testing. I told you what is the difference between the pre-testing and pilot testing. This is a pre-testing and pilot testing, the way where we check the Cronbach alpha. Then instrument description is there, and initial data quality checks, missing values, non-response bias means, see, the non-response bias, as I mentioned in my class also, this is the early and late respondents. In which means you can see the difference is very less. That means non-response bias is not present. So this is how we go. This is a demographic profile. We put these figures. Then every chapter should have a conclusion. Then this is results and interpretation. So we go for this descriptive analysis first of all, then CFA, confirmatory factor analysis. This is another set of techniques. You see, I think I told you, when the table is big, we convert it into landscape. Likewise, just check. This is landscape. This is again portrait. Difference. So this is how this entire thesis was. The thesis is a hard work of your 3 years, and for 3 years, whatever you have done, that you have to put in the form of a book, right? This is the analysis, and last May we came out with a comprehensive model, which I would like to show you. What rating effect aa gayi hai. This is a comprehensive model of educators, where this one, psychological risk is insignificant, then cyber risk is insignificant, and this is the comprehensive model of learners, right? So this was a chapter 4, and important is discussions, right? Discussion objective related to objective 1. See, this is objective wise discussion we go, right? Discussion related to second objective, discussion related to third objective. इस तरह से we build upon the entire topic, So let me go to my slide now. So again, after showing this, the last part is when we have to written, we need to revise it, and you don't need to feel hesitant for asking the feedbacks from the peers and mentors, and revising your work is again very crucial for the clarity. So inclusion. If we conclude, the mastering the thesis requires dedication and strategic planning. You know, this since this lecture was when you have already, I assume that you have already completed all your work, right? So what I suggest to my candidates, because right now 12 candidates have been graduated, done their PhD with me. So what I suggest is those candidates is just bifurcate your time. Right. Let's say your papers are over, condition is over, everything is over. Now what you have done is in progress review presentations, you have to put it all together. So give at least 2 weeks for each chapter. 2 weeks for chapter 1, 2 weeks for chapter 2, 2 weeks for chapter 3, 2 weeks for chapter 4, 2 weeks for chapter 5, and one full week for your references. And then again one full week for your initial pages where you write the acknowledgement and where you write this. So again, spend 2 to 2.5 months in writing the thesis, and the product will really be awesome. Because then again, then revise it, revise 2 3 times so that you come to a good conclusion. So that is all from my side. Uh, I hope I have covered most of the aspects. And if you wish to ask any questions, you are please open.